This is a Fox News alert. Moments ago, President Trump wrapping up yet another massive rally, this time in Broward County, Florida. By the way, and look at this. Supporters stood in line all day to get a spot inside this packed arena, which has a capacity of over 20,000. What Democrat can do this? Now, prior to the big rally, Bill O'Reilly interviewed the president on his radio show, and Bill has given us an exclusive clip from that one-on-one interview. Great question and great answer by the president. You'll want to hear that. And needless to say, the Democrats' impeachment charade has only solidified the president's base. And
fellow citizens, I'm here to interrupt your routine scheduled garbage to provide a public service announcement. It's time to finally wake up and understand the world through your own perspective. You spend too much time allowing someone else decide what you should or should not believe in. Your faith and trust in authority has been exploited to promote the nefarious plans of our higher-ups. This piece of technology in front of you has given the affluent easy accessibility to control your actions. The media is being used as a platform to corrupt and manipulate society to comply towards harmful narratives. This is proven by the media's attacks against opposition, censorship of negative publicity, and false depictions of reality. The media ensures that any figure that contradicts the whims and wishes of the powerful are alienated from the public. As soon as a person speaks against any affiliated members of a specific news source, they are branded with negative adjectives and are associated with something that the masses will reject. This fear-mongering tactic has been used by high-ranking politicians and corporate leaders throughout all of history, whether it be Crooked Hillary or Dumb Donald. Smear campaigns and character assassinations are all used by the media to psychologically condition you to be against the person of their choosing. However, the most sinister types of media persecution are much more covert. Sometimes, instead of directly advising the public to be against the person, the media can discredit them using much more subtle methods. For example, media outlets carefully orchestrate experts to represent an opinion during live debates. While a panel may seem proportionate and fair, one expert will often be grouped with incompetent or inexperienced allies. This practice is particularly immoral, considering that it deceives an individual without having to disclose biases. Moving on to our next topic, despite the fact that the media is supposed to keep the public informed, a vast majority of information is withheld from news outlets. This is due to the immense jurisdiction that the government has over the media. The government may justify their censorship under the guise of protecting national security, but their true intentions are much more ominous. If people heard about the real behavior of the government, they wouldn't be as docile to their control. For instance, did you know that in 1996, the United States government spent $6.5 trillion in expenditures that can't be accounted for? Or that media operations in Iraq cost more than $100 million a year, on average, to create fake news about Al-Qaeda? Both of these stories should have made headlines within mainstream media articles, but for the most part have remained unreported. As a result, it would be a fair assumption stating that external government forces have been preventing the widespread knowledge of events like these. A survey conducted in 2007 found that 60% of more than 600 journalists said that the values and politics of their corporate owners had an effect on the editorial agenda of their news organization. Due to the fact that many media corporate owners receive immense funding from the government, their ideas are biased in favor of their benefactors. Lastly, it is important to acknowledge how the media frequently falsely depicts reality to fulfill a political agenda. For example, we are constantly reminded about how untamed and dangerous our country is from various government-funded media outlets. In fact, over half of the media stories reported in Canada revolve around violent crimes. However, unbeknownst to most people, violent crimes only compose 7% of all crimes in Canada. This proves that exaggerations or euphemisms within media can have drastic impact on how the public perceives the world around them. Due to the media's inaccurate depiction of crime and safety within Canada, people have grown desperate for proper leadership that can restore prosperity. Politicians have utilized this fear by implementing changes that supposedly rectify the alleged high levels of violence. These expensive implementations using taxpayer dollars would not have garnered the amount of support from the public without the influence of the media. In other words, secure journalism from popular media sources can have very serious ramifications, which result in drastic social changes. In summary, the media has been used by the powerful careful to manipulate your decisions and your worldview. All I ask of you is to dig deeper than the information spoon-fed to you by the media and form your own impartial opinion. You might be thinking to yourself, what makes me different than the corporate trolls that control the media? Well, for starters, I don't have anything to gain from reaching out to you today. I don't have an underlying motivation to fulfill a hedonistic desire for power. I only wish to educate the public about the harsh impacts of the corrupt media. I believe that everyone should see the world through their own eyes instead of someone else's poor imitation. It may not be as pretty, but at least it's real.